Ew. So I don't know what came over me just then. Good evening. My name is Adam Arwood. They call me the Zotmeister. This, after a very much unanticipated hiatus, is once again Warlord Wednesday. Anbu Lion, hello, good to see you here. Glad you could stop on by. I could tell a few stories, but I think instead, at least for the time being, I will just get things going as quickly as possible. Behold, a virtual machine that actually works. Holy crap. Here, I'll prove it to you. No, really. I can totally play this game. I swear. There's something about the end of that video that makes the hair on the back of my neck stand on end. Oh, man. So, here it is, that often polarizing Civilization Gaiden. All to power. Okay, so there is one tiny little quirk, as it were, about this. Don't know why, but although everything in this game, as far as I can tell from my testing, runs just fine, no issues with it. The videos play, the animations play, game audio works. Even though it's loading animations off of the CD and whatnot, for whatever reason, the game music won't play. I don't know why. I'm actually thinking that it might have something to do with the virtual machine's integration settings, because when I originally installed the game, it played the game audio during the install process like it's supposed to. But I ended up reinstalling it later to give it a full install, and it didn't then. And it's not playing in-game, and I don't know why. And that is a shame because this game uses Red Book audio. It has, actual audio tracks on its CD and plays them. So what I've done, because the music in this game is awesome and I wasn't willing to accept that, I have a backup plan. I have ripped these audio tracks to Media Player, and I will simply play them in the background during the game. You would never know the difference. If it weren't for one thing, just one, I need to remember to stop the music when a Wonder movie is going to play, because otherwise it's just going to play on through it. It would not automatically stop and start back up again. So I have to be on top of that. I have to know when I am going to be finishing A Wonder of the World so that I can stop the music in advance, because it's not playing during the movie. As long as I get that set, get that straight, we should be golden. Should not have any other issues playing this game here for you. Should be good. Should be good. So, let me... already gone through all the options. Make sure that everything is set up. Again, the music won't play. Shame. Nothing. Don't know why. But I can fix that for you right here, right now. There we go. That's what you're supposed to be hearing on the title screen. And I can sort of monkey around with it here. Okay. Can do this. Yes. We are in control. Do not adjust your set. Okay, if you've ever played any of the Sid Meier's Civilization games before, you probably have a good sense of what to expect here. You've got your tiles, city radii, units, whatnot, but there are a few things that differ here and there. If any questions come up, I'll gladly answer them. I'll probably be saying a number of things about the game as we go. But feel free to preempt me on that. Well, first thing we need to do, pick a civilization. And really the only functional difference between any of these, it's just the names of the cities by default and whatnot, default leader names, whatever. It's all purely cosmetic in this title. But I will, of course, choose Japanese. I will type my own name in here. Okay. So, difficulty setting. I want to have a game where I have a reasonable chance of winning, but for there to still be a challenge. And for me, in this game, that means Emperor difficulty. Deity is more than a little ridiculous. King, for me, at this point, is an absolute pushover. Emperor, I've got probably, I want to say, around a 75 to 80% chance of winning. And if I were to lose, it would probably be something that happened relatively early on, and not be too bad. Barbarian threat in this Civ game, for whatever reason, the barbarians are a pushover regardless. So I'm going to set that to Raging Hordes simply to make things more interesting. It really serves no other purpose. I will set map size to small, so that this game can actually progress at a decent pace, not take all year. Now this is the fascinating one. Most games of this nature, the world map will actually effectively be a cylinder. Go off the left or right side, come back on the other. And if you choose the Earth world option here, that's what happens. You've got polar caps at the, the north and south. Things tend to be more temperate in the equator, that kind of deal. But there's an additional option that they made available. And I'm going to go ahead and turn that on because, well, I'm only planning on playing this game once, and this is by far the more interesting option, so I'm going to turn that on. Donut World, as they call it, lets us play on a torus instead of a cylinder. Not only do east and west match up, but so do north and south. If you do the geometry for that, you realize that it's essentially playing the game on the surface of a donut, hence the name. Or a bagel. It definitely means there's nowhere to hide. What you will essentially have is a polar strip and a temperate strip going across the map. You can go you can circumnavigate the globe in, either directions. It's not really a globe, it's a donut shape. So I will put that on because that is definitely something that makes this game a bit more unique. They give you 2 rules options to muck with, and this is really the way that it should always be. If you turn Bloodlust on, it means the only victory condition left in the game is the elimination of all other civilizations. But yeah, no, I love the Alien Life Project. I want to show off the Alien Life Project. I have every intention of winning via the Alien Life Project. So I will be leaving that off, thank you very much. And the pollution mechanism in this game is just done so incredibly well, so cleverly. I would be doing us all a disservice if I turned that off. We will definitely be playing with pollution on as a mechanic in the game. As for a number of civilizations, the maximum, of course. Let's make this nice and tight. That is a lot of civs for a small map. So, yeah, it's going to be some close quarters battles. It should be interesting. This is the default options for the generation of a random map, and I am going to leave them this way. The defaults are not all straight down the center. Oh, Arcus, you honor me, sir. You honor me deeply. Wow. I hope that I earn. I hope I make it worthwhile for that vast viewership you just sent my way. I hope that at least some of you end up enjoying at least some of this. So that's the defaults. Yeah, they're not all down the middle. 2 towards ocean and 3 towards diverse is actually the correct default. I've got nothing else to do here but to hit that launch button. Okay. So here we go. Oh, whoa. Here's my mini map down here. I can click on this to center it. The white border shows the map screen, what you can see up above, everything I can view at once. As you can see, it's not going to be a very large map. You can actually see the pixel resolution here relating to the tiles. And there are 8 civs crammed in here. This is gonna be tight. And again, Donut World. Top and bottom, link up, left and right, corners. So yeah, you're gonna be able to see a lot at one time. So here's my settler unit. This is the one thing I begin with, and I somehow need to turn this into a planet-spanning empire. Yeah, great stuff, that. Well, we can do that. Sometimes I'll want to explore around a little to see if I can get a better starting spot. seeing what I am seeing here, I don't think I am going to try that at all. Rivers are extremely valuable territory in this game, and it looks like I am starting near 2 of them. Just about the only thing that I would be... I've got some hills, nice for some extra production. I can put some mines on there later. This is a very nice all-around city, a good place to get started. The only thing... Well, there are 2 things that are missing here. 1, trade goods. There might be some in the full radius when I build the city. Those might show up on the outskirts. And one thing that I know I'm not getting, this will not be a coastal city, and that can be extremely important. You need a coastal city to build boats, among other buildings. If I were to follow along a river, I could probably find a coast. And moving along a river tends to be very fast, but I don't want to take that chance. I'm going to be quite happy to simply build this starting city right where we are sitting. I will not be renaming my cities, because that's only going to get me confused. Here we have the Japanese capital of Kyoto. No, that is not an error. That is the original Japanese capital. They moved it to Tokyo later on in their country's history. Okay. Lots of forest and jungle, which seems to be what I often start with. That is a lot of river. 9 river tiles. That is excellent stuff. Okay. So I'm going to right-click on my city here. This is the city radius. This is all the land tiles that are close enough to the city to be workable. Yeah, I wanted something that looked a little more modern than Master of Magic to be the follow-up, but still to have that sort of quirkiness to it. So I figured this would be a good choice. It is a game I'm rather fond of. If you're used to Civilization, a lot of the numbers that you see here are effectively going to be multiplied by 5. So there's a bit more granularity that they've squeezed into there. I can move this guy around. He is my worker. The city basically has a starting population of 1, which actually represents probably more like 1,000 people at this time frame. But it's enough to get the resources out of 1 tile here in the city radius. I can choose which one. Tiles produce food, production, and gold. The grassland tiles will give me 10 food. The plains tiles here will again give me 5. Hills, I think, are also 5. The forests are 5. Some tiles might be worth 0. A river will add 5 food, and for that matter, 5 production and 5 gold. So the rivers are very valuable. The production... Yeah, grasslands will give me 5, plains will give me 10. Forests, 20. Good chunk there. Hills, 10. But, hills can also be mined. Give you a, sizable boost later on. And then gold. Most tiles don't give you gold by default. I think hills give you a small amount, 5, right? The river will give you some. Okay. The forest tile with a river in it is usually your best bet to get started with. That's some really nice production. Food, gold there. And the city itself actually has, no matter what it's built on, there's always going to be a sort of a stipend, as it were. I think it's, I think you actually get the credit for the tile it's on, plus an extra bit of food and production. At any rate, yeah, 20 and 10, even if I had no workers there at all, but here we go. 30 food, 35 production, and 5 gold a turn is what that city is producing. So what do those become? Well, I will show you. First off, the, let me see. Where is that fun book? There we go. So this city is generating 27 net food a turn. People gotta eat. Any surplus food gets stored, and when you've got enough extra food stored up, the population grows. That will become size 2, and I'll get a second worker I can put in the radius and get more goodies. How much do people eat? I actually have control over that, interestingly enough. If you're familiar with Civ, essentially the equivalent of 10 would be the default you'd see there. But here I can tweak it. This is one thing right here that perhaps more than anything else makes Call to Power really unique. These sliders here represent the expectations of your people. The way that you're running your government, as it were, in how it affects the random person on the street, your general populace. How many days? What am I trying to say? Yeah, this is how many hours they would work each day. You know, their work week essentially. Sunset, a 10-hour work day. Here, 3 gold a day and 7.5 rations a day. These red dots that you see here are the defaults for my current government, which starts as a tyranny. It's just what you start with. If I want to change governments to something more efficient, well, I have to research that. I shall do so eventually. Also, as you can see here, we have a happiness rating. With everything on its defaults, we have a default 75 happiness. And I can screw with this. I can make the workday longer. As a matter of fact, I can even bring this up. You can immediately see the effect. I would have 39 production. If I cranked this up, I would jump up to 47. 8 extra just sitting around. However, this affects my happiness. Every position that these are off in the harder on your populace direction, the happiness for each city will go down by 1 per capita. Of course, I only have 1 city with a population of 1, so I'm only affecting happiness by 1 by doing this. 74 happiness is not a problem. 73 happiness is not a problem. 72, problem. If I were to do this, the city would riot. This is a bad thing. A city that is rioting produces nothing. Yeah. So what I have to do... Also, I can make things more generous for the people. I can give them a shorter workday, for example. But, yeah, even if I were to do all of these by some insane amount, I will only ever get 2 happiness out of this. That's it. I get a happiness bonus of +2 if these sliders are friendlier than the average. That's regardless of what your populations are, it's always exactly 2, never more, never less. Ah, man. So if I were to lower my rations here, my people are eating less, which means they stockpile more food, which means the city can grow faster. And that would be a damn fine start, and I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. So that's going to be the effect of food. Wages, the gold that I earn, at 5 a turn there. This is what I have to pay each person. I'm paying 3. That leaves me with 2. What happens with the rest? Well, some of it gets converted to research points, essentially. Ah, Gettysburg, good to see you here, yes. Right now, I am converting half of my surplus gold, half of my profit, to research. And this is the greatest percentage that I can set because your government type actually puts a cap on that. I'm getting 1 research point per turn in this manner. That's it. I cannot do better than that at this time. The only way I could perhaps improve upon that is if I also lowered the wages. That way I would have an extra gold. Yeah, the percentage is actually still not enough to make a difference there. So with that in mind, that leaves me with 1 gold per turn, and that just gets stored. I actually start with 100. That'll be 101 next turn. I just blockpile it. That's simple. Science I can get into a little bit more later on. This is a game with a tech tree, and there are a lot of advances. Yeah, a lot of them. One of the conceits of this game is that it doesn't stop at the space race. It doesn't end at around 2000 AD like most of the other Civ games do. This game ends in the year 3000 AD and fills in things beyond the modern age with the genetic age and then the diamond age. Things will get epic. We start with agriculture, tool making, and mining. Really just sort of mental things. And although I probably won't be showing off many of these, I think it notable that they have some fascinating descriptions of these technologies. This historical tab here lists some interesting little tidbits, but yeah. The fact that the game goes on into the future means that some of these historical statements... Oh, no wonder I look so red. This light isn't on. Some of these historical statements are essentially fiction. Science fiction that they wrote specifically for this game. I'm trying to remember what some of the more interesting ones are. The Eden Project. Some of the more fun ones. I'm gonna try to... The neural interface, a system that enabled a person to download a personality into his own brain. You'd think that would be... I think that would be backwards. Ah, yes. The mind control. Where's the, Yeah. Technocracy, aka Blade Runnerville. By the 22nd century, as overcrowding blighted the world, the economic and technological elite made a pact with the devil. Surrender the rights of the poor and the freedoms of the masses in return for excess riches for the wealthy. Backed by robotic production, state-sanctioned drug distribution, and an ever-present automated security system, this new technocracy resulted in increased productivity and consumption. With elevated cities for the rich, the less glamorous effects were not even visible. And they actually get even better. I'm probably not going to remember to bring up a lot of these or even really show them off, but I did want to mention that they are present here in the game. They have them. Even things as simple as good old domestication, you know, ancient technologies, the future ones. They did a very, very nice job, in my opinion, of writing these, describing them all. Human cloning. We have a very eclectic set of wonders of the world that we can build. They were determined to not duplicate any of the wonders seen in any of the Sid Meier's Civilization games. So they have a very interesting set here, and hopefully I can. And they all have videos associated with them, and hopefully I can show off majority of those. All right, but for now, they started me working on domestication, and I'm fine with that. Whatever's first is okay with me. It's not gonna matter that much. Theoretically, I could change that. Probably wouldn't be at much of a penalty either. But, I'm not going to worry about that. Stoneworking is probably the one I would want more than the others. Well, actually, come to think of it, yeah, I would think I would leave it. And at my current rate of research, it will be 21 turns before I get my hands on. But I will do better than that. It won't take that long. I should actually point out that I do have an alternative to working the land. Actually, I have two. Ultimately, I'll have four. Anybody who's not working a land tile in a city is going to be one of these specialists. An entertainer will add 1 to the city's happiness rating. Not terribly valuable right now. A scientist, on the other hand, would be providing 10 research points all by himself. Yeah, see, I can get domestication a lot faster that way. But I'm not working the land if I do that. I would much rather get the production of food. So, that leaves production. What is production good for? This. I will often leave this window open more than I'll have it closed, and actually look at the map around the corner of it. This is where every city that I have will be listed. I can see at its glance how big it is, how many turns it will take before it gains its next unit of population based on its current rate of food production, how much production it produces each turn, how much gold it's generating, how many research points it's generating, and its happiness rating, which is an extremely important thing to keep in mind. Remember, I can never let that go below 73 for a city, or otherwise it's going to stop being useful. As a matter of fact, if it goes too low, the city can revolt. This is bad. They don't... Use your words, Adam. The citizens will take the city by force. Take it right out of my hands, declare themselves independent. This is not a good thing. These are the things that I could possibly have a city build. It can always be working on something, it'll throw its production into it as we go. There is already a capital in this city. First one I get that for free. The capital serves as the hub of my empire. How far away other cities are from the capital will affect certain things like happiness, in subtle ways. It's usually not too much of an issue, just as long as you have a capital somewhere. I've set my Zotmeister to tranquil. Hi, Zmick, good to see you. Yeah, I have the, I had to sort of, jerry-rig the soundtrack to the game. The game itself isn't actually playing it, the odd little quirk of the virtual machine that I'm using. So I actually have the game's Red Book audio playing on, a media player right now, in a loop. Gaming Trucker, good to see you. You could stop on by. Settler, Slaver, and Warrior are all units. As in people that you get to move around on the map. Maybe fight other units. Do fun things. Settlers, well, build more cities. Of course, when you build a settler, you lose a unit of population in the city that built it. It's a little early to build a settler. Yeah. Slaver. This game went there. If I were so inclined, and who knows, maybe one of the AI players actually will be so inclined, player could actually attempt slavery in this game. Slaver units are, what's the term this game uses? Stealth units. They can't normally be seen on the map unless some other stealth unit is nearby, or if you happen to try to move into whatever space on the map they're sitting on, and you're like, oh, hello, there's somebody here. Slavers can convert settlers that they catch out in the open. Like, nope, you're mine now. Also, if a slaver is accompanying a military force, and that force wins a battle, they can claim a slave that way. If I go back to this tab here for my city, you can see that there is actually a slot for slaves in the city as well as workers. You don't pay slaves and you only feed them half as much, but they are otherwise more productive people. The thing about slaving, however, is that it's a ticking time bomb. As one of the wonders in the game is the Emancipation Act. And if that ever gets built, all slavery immediately ends, and anybody who had any slaves gets screwed for a period of time. I will not be doing the slaving strategy, thank you very much. But it is something that is out there, and with 8 AI opponents, actually I think it's 7 AI opponents, I think they count me in that player count. Yes, they do. Incidentally, the other civs in this game are Incan, Nigerian, Ethiopian, Mayan, Egyptian, Canadian, and Korean. Curious little mixture there. But again, the only difference in them is the names, the names of their cities and what. One of them might actually end up taking the slaver approach. We'll just have to wait and see. Warrior is your typical run-of-the-mill fighting unit. It has basic attack and defense. It has a pretty much even chance of winning a battle against another warrior, unless it's like, terrain effects or whatnot getting involved. And they're relatively cheap to produce. Eventually I'll get something better. I should get a warrior or 2 out to get things started. What I can actually do... Have any buildings for those, do I? I can start by making a queue for... Yeah, I will do so. Ooh. That doesn't sound good. Wow, that sounds really ill. Hiccuping a lot. That's going to get obnoxious very quickly. Huh. Yeah, I know why that's happening either. Huh. Gonna get annoying fast. Does the sound hiccup? Huh. Ugh. What I'm gonna do about that? I'm gonna have to look into that. Hopefully I can get that resolved. At any rate, this is what I'd like them to build. 2 warriors, someone to hold the city, and then someone to do a bit of exploring, and then lastly a granary. Granary is a building you'd put in the city. The term this game uses is improvement. City improvement. I can right-click that to show you what it's going to do. The granary will allow the city to grow faster. Amount of food needed to... Actually, the way that the granary functions is that when you've stored up enough food for the city to grow a unit of population, you normally lose all the food that you've stored up. With a granary, you keep half of it, give or take. so that the growth rate of the city is roughly double what it would otherwise be. Very useful thing to get going. You do have to pay money per turn in order to keep these improvements active, but yeah, good stuff. Yeah. Yeah, you're definitely right about that, Smick. It is, I don't know of like any other game, actually. At least, you know, this side of like a hentai title or something, that it actually lets you do that. Actually lets you play that sort of scourge of humanity. But yeah, you will not be seeing me do that. That is not my style in a number of ways. So, maybe maybe it will come up in the game that someone else will have it and we can do something about it, or maybe it won't. With this many civs, there's actually a good chance that at least one of them is going to want to do that. Whether or not it's someone that we actually end up interacting with in the early game or not remains to be seen. Nice list of fruit emoji there. Very nice list. Okay, I don't think I've got anything else to show off real quick like here. So I do believe I'm just going to hit this button down here to end turn. And I'm probably going to have to hit it a few times before anything interesting actually occurs. I note that this is actually getting updated, but I need to actually have it selected to see that. Oh my word. Feel that bad. Was it doing? I remember doing that one. It out. Oh, that almost makes me want to turn sound effects off, but that can't possibly be right. I'm definitely going to have to try to fiddle with the settings here and at some point and see if I can get that to be not so echo-ish. But for the time being, I might get stuck with it. So this game gives you little notifications on the right. I swear I know my left from my right. Here on the left-hand side of the screen, notification boxes will pop up. They actually did a very good job of putting this system together. It's like any information that you want to find, it's there. Any information you don't want to see, you can easily... This is telling me that a warrior has been built, and that the city is about to work on another one. And now this button has lit up to allow me to select my unit. And see, I can give them directions to move pretty much anywhere. I can use the number pad to have them move as well. If I just click, it will draw the path it would otherwise have them follow. It can only normally move one space per turn, but when you're moving along a river, this actually only costs you half a movement point. Rivers are rivers are like roads. I can already tell that this is at the water's edge. I think what I would rather... I'd rather look in that direction. Ooh! Someone else's settler already? Huh. That's a surprise. Ooh, look at this bottleneck here. It's straight. Blood shall run. Yeah, the voice sound effects in this game are really good. I hope I can get that problem solved soon, because why is it doing that? Well, when I take my break, I'll take a quick peek at the VM settings, see if I can tweak it in some way to hopefully make that not happen. And if not, then I'll keep at it so that next week it won't be so bad. I apologize for that. I don't know why it's doing that, but at least the game is running. I'm very glad for that. That was difficult enough as it was. Let me see. I guess for now I'm just going to be ending turn. I might actually lose this battle. No, I got him. Here we go. Yeah, I did not want there to be... Absolutely, positively did not want there to be another city so close to mine, and at such a strategically significant bottleneck this early on. That would have been a bad thing. He totally could have just had those settlers become a city right here, right in this very tile, that close to my capital. He could literally ambush me. Given the presence of the river, it's like in a single turn, he can just suddenly attack me with a force that I didn't see coming. That would not have been acceptable to me at all. I'm guessing that that player is still in the game. It started with 2 settlers. Especially given that it looks like this area here is just gunk. Swamp is terrible tile. No food, no gold, low production, and very expensive to move, very slow. Just about the only thing that makes Swamp even remotely worthwhile is when there's alligator. So this is actually the first trade good that is shown on the map here, alligator. There are lots of different kinds of trade goods. We will almost certainly be seeing more as we go. Any trade good, they really all have the same purpose. Any trade good is worth 10 gold in a city. However, there is also a trade mechanism in the game. You can create monopolies. If you can find multiple copies of the same good in different places and establish a trade route to send those goods into a single city, they increase in value. The second good of a type that you send into a city is worth 20 instead of 10. Third is worth 30, a fourth is worth 40, and so on. If a city is lucky enough to have 2 copies of a good, 2 copies of the same good in its radius, and you send in the maximum of 4 trade routes into that city, more of the same good, that's 6 copies of the good. That ends up being a total of 210 gold. This is insane. Getting trade routes built is key to accelerating your research in this game and getting a lot of gold. That is one of the key strategies to winning, and it drives a lot of the layout of the map, the positioning of the cities and whatnot. A lot of the tactics of the game come from building and maintaining trade routes. A place for a city that has 2 copies of the same good within its radius is massively valuable. It tends to be a... it tends to be, shall we say, coveted. Okay. Am I clicking through some more turns? Looks that way. I'm clicking. I will continue to have you explore in this direction. Okay, these moe you see here, they call this a goody hut in the lingo. This essentially represents some uncivilized culture. I move one of my own units in there, and we'll see what happens. Usually it's something good. Might be a free tech, might be a free unit, might be a bit of gold. It's also possible that they are hostile and they will spawn barbarians or whatever. We'll just have to wait and see what comes of it. Have to step in there and see what we get. Ooh. Okay. So, he's got a warrior now as well, and he's heading in that direction. Looks like we're fated to be opponents. Okay, he's got a city here. Now, in this game, units exert zones of control over each other. The way that this basically works is that you cannot have a unit move from one space that's adjacent to an enemy to another space that is adjacent to an enemy, unless you are actually in the process of attacking that enemy. As a result of this, we are actually in a bit of a détente. Neither of us can reach this goody hut as our units are sitting right now. I'm adjacent to him. I would again be adjacent to him if I moved here. That's against the rules. He can't do the same thing either. So with our units sitting as they are, neither of us can get to this. What I could do is get another warrior to come along here and sneak in there. From here to here is fine. Mind you, he could do the same thing. He could take another unit, presumably from his city, move it around this way. Here isn't good enough. Diagonal still counts as adjacent. He would have to send it around this way. I'm actually further away from it than he is, but who knows? Maybe I'll beat him to it. What worries me, though, that in so doing, I'm not going to have a warrior defending my city, so I'm going to add one to this queue. Well, the game does have its complexities, and I'm sort of intentionally not diving into everything. I'm simply just trying to explain my own actions in the game. At least at this time. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Again, if you've played a lot of other Civilization games, then you're probably largely familiar with a lot of the mechanics in this one. Where it truly differs is where I would be spending a lot of my time explaining things. Let me see here. Let me do a quick window reposition. You kind of want to check on... Yeah, I do kind of want to make sure that... Okay. I want to still have a slight sliver of my OBS window showing, just so that I know that there's nothing funky going on back there, but yeah. Ah, there's a name I don't believe I've seen in chat before. Is that an I? I can't tell if that's a capital I or a lowercase L. Either Sky-id or Skilled. Probably Skilled. Yes. Good to see you. Ah, yes. Yeah. Arcus has been very, very generous to me. It is Skilled, okay. Yeah, I remain ever honored by his patronage. Given how very different what I play tends to be from what he plays. But yeah, I am honored. Hopefully you will enjoy this as well. Okay, so Kyoto will have another warrior out in a turn. I should be good. Don't see anybody else coming in this direction. Hopefully I'm not about to do something incredibly stupid. Want stuff on the overhead projector. My high school math teacher, Harold Weymouth. He was actually one of those teachers honored when Disney was doing those teacher awards. He was actually one of the first. Yeah, he used an overhead projector constantly. Great teacher. Oh wow, yeah. I've played. It feels like I've played fewer Civ games than I almost certainly actually have. It's easy to forget just how much time one invests in these games when they play them. Yeah, they're great stuff. If you describe that DOS game, I might actually be able to tell you what it is. I might be able to. No promises. That's not my field of expertise when it comes to classic game. I didn't have a computer of my own until I was in college. So yeah, I I did not grow up with computer games. It was mostly NES, and before that Intellivision, actually. Okay. Yep. Gotta end the turn. Oh, he retreated. I actually did not expect him to do that. Yoink. Oh. You have discovered ancient treasure of Konami gold. Pray that no curses follow your fortuitous discovery. Is my camera, like, really out of focus, or is it just me? I can apologize. There we go. That's a lot better. Well, it's a little. Konami's Goro Awase number, serendipitously enough. Yeah. Pray that no curses follow your fortuitous discovery. So I just got a chunk of gold. Great stuff. Gold can be used to rush by things. If you need a city to spit something out now, you can spend money to do so. A nation. You can even choose to be the Pope's army? Try to take over territory. Each nation is of a different color and... Oops, army. Castles, maybe? Castles 2? One of the Castles series games? I think you can actually play as the, Avalon Hill's Kingmaker, although I don't know if you can actually play as the clergy in that one. That might... Yeah. If I haven't already guessed it, I might not be able to hit that one for you. Okay, I'm going to have that warrior fortify in the city. Basically, hold it. Defend it. If you tell a unit to fortify and you don't move it again for a couple of turns, it will actually have increased defense. It hunkers down. It becomes, I want to say, roughly 50% stronger on defense than its stats would normally allow. So that's good stuff. I will go ahead and get a third warrior going. I definitely want some more exploring here. Well, anything further out this direction is basically going to be his territory. I see that he's got another river available to him here. Okay, he has... Alright, he's got another alligator right there in his city. So I do not want him to get to this one. That would be a bad thing. On the flip side of that, if I could somehow get a city myself here, that would be amazing. This is as close as I could get it. The city radius is like a knight's move. It would not overlap with Kyoto. It would have 2 alligators in its radius. That would be a fantastic place to build a city. The forest, jungle, swamp, not so good, but I can get lots of resources out of the water. And it has access, apparently, to a North and a South Sea. So that would be a fantastic strategic and financial place to put a city. course, it's very, very close to one of his. But, yeah, I'm kind of already battling for resources. I mean, when you play on a small map with the maximum number of players, that's what's going to happen. You can't make nice with everybody. Yeah, I am definitely going to want to have that happen, and I am not going to want him to head in this direction at all. So I'm probably going to have this warrior move back here and fortify and just sit there and just block this strait. Force the enemy to actually have to expend resources to oust me if he wants to try to keep going in this direction. It may have, yeah. I remember, I've never actually played much Castles myself, but my brother was a big fan of Castles too. I want to say its subtitle is like Siege and Conquest, or perhaps the other way around. And I distinctly remember that it had a strategic map with territories on it, and I seem to remember the clergy being one of the options in the game. It may well have been one of the Castles games. Okay, I think all I can do here is end for now. This is a decent start. I'm happy with what I see. It's not perfect, but it is actually very, very, very useful. I often find myself starting in a place like this. You know, forest, jungle, swamp, basically ick. It's like I have got to try to get a settler out of here as soon as I can. With the way that, yeah, this is actually a very nice starting city, and hopefully this could be made to work well. Kyoto has actually grown. Unfortunately, it does not give me a notification when a city grows. I really wish it did, like Master of Magic does. I think it was the original Castles? Yeah, I actually have copies of both. I have the original Castles as part of the Interplay 10-year anthology, and I have what was my brother's copy of Castles 2 kicking around. I have spent very little time playing either of those. I should probably remedy them at some point. They might make a decent Warrior Wednesday title at some point in the future. An idea. Definitely an idea. Okay, yeah, I do want another warrior there. Okay, so this city has now grown. I can now work a second tile. And that's a grassland with a river in it for more food. What I want right now is more production. Willing to get a little less food to get a lot more production. Much more happy doing it that way. Take 13 turns to grow again. Happiness still within parameters. There is actually, you ever want to know how it's calculating the happiness in a city? There is a button for that. They did a very good job of packing a lot of very useful information into this small panel at the bottom here. Oh, by the way, I realized that things are being scaled down slightly. I could probably make it look a little better by using a different resolution. What I have the game set to, what I'm actually looking at is 1024 by 768. It is being scaled down slightly for what you see on stream, so yeah, the game itself does not look like arse, in case you were wondering. I could try to, yes, Jezendar, I did indeed get it working, or at least mostly working. Sound effects are stuttering a lot. I'm gonna have to see what I can do about that. And the music tracks weren't playing at all. But I faked that. I actually have the, it's Redbook audio on the game CD, so I ripped it to Media Player, and I'm just playing that in the background. I just have to remember to stop it before I finish building a wonder, so that the music doesn't play on during the wonder videos. If I can remember that, I'm fine. But yeah, I'm gonna have to see what I can do about getting the sound effects to not stutter so much. I don't know why they're doing that, but that is something that I'm going to have to monkey around with later. For now, I just need to get things played. Civilization call to power Nosich %. Okay. Yes. Still kind of clicking through turns. Moment. I grew my city faster than he grew his. That's a good... Let's get them fortified. And, I don't know why it's doing... Okay. This warrior I am going to have explore out in this direction. Oh wow, long river. There's the source. Still, these are the only trade goods that I've found. Alligator. Okay, got a granary in the works. Stuff. Yeah, this should definitely last a few weeks. Even with a small world, and even with the Alien Life project in mind. Oh yeah, that's going to help sort of stand things out. It shouldn't be too bad, but yeah, it is definitely going to be a multi-week affair. There's no doubt about that. Okay. Granary will take 10 turns to produce. City will grow in 11 turns. That is perfect timing. Actually, hopefully this warrior will have enough interesting things to do to keep me occupied. Oh, okay. So there we have another player. Player's warrior, anyway. Notice I can't walk that way. He's actually sitting on top of a trade good. Elephant. A type of trade good. And here we have mountains, which provide no food, but a sizable chunk of production, and gain a very nice bonus when you put a mine. Something that, it's a little early for me to be working on that sort of thing. Tile improvements, but they will come. Kind of want to keep an eye on this guy. I also don't want to stop exploring. Let me just have him skip his turn for the time being. Move on to the next. Okay. Yeah, I bring neighborly greetings from the Ethiopian. Oh. Wow! So we've got a double alligator city potential in the east and a double elephant city potential in the west. This is totally a thing. This might actually end up being one hell of a battle. Wow. Okay. So this is a thing. I have it set to the maximum of 8, and I have the world size set to the minimum of small. So yeah, this is going to be a very claustrophobic game. This is going to be very in your face. I've actually already skirmished with what civ is that? On the right, that is the Mayans to the east, Ethiopians to the west. Yeah, I've already Thank you very much for the follow. I greatly appreciate that, Skilled. Glad you are enjoying this. Yeah, this is going to be a very, very tight battle for resources here, and that is key. Is there... Forget what the keyboard command is for getting the grid showing. There is such a... No? Thought there would be a, There isn't a keyboard command for that. The graphics option there. Yeah. Yeah, this makes it easier to see at times. The radius for Kyoto goes out to here. There's no penalty in this game for cities having overlapping city radii. It's just that they can't both use a tile at the same time. As a result, I would want to minimize that as much as possible. To that end, if I build the city over here, that would still reach both elephants. But it does mean I'm using less river. Mind you, yeah, it will overlap less with Kyoto. As a matter of fact, it would only overlap in a single tile. So in the long run, that would be the more efficient thing to do. If I were to build the city closer, it could use more of the river, but it is going to mean that eventually those two cities are going to die. Yes, I do in fact have a window behind those curtains back there. Yes. Yeah, the Venetian blinds in between. Yeah, I don't have things closed up quite so well back there. I swear that it is tonight, but focus. Oh, that looks to be to be as good as it's gonna get. All right, I just wanted to plan that out. I will turn that grid right back off because it is more than a little noxious, actually. And I've got to figure out why the audio is. That's more than a little irritating. Ah. Okay, yep. Granary coming in 8 turns. Population growth in 9. Domestication coming in 8 turns. Yeah, this is like perfectly timed here. I'm just going to follow you. Try to prevent you from going east. Just going to be like that. Although, actually, if you step further north, then I'm probably going to step down here and then fortify there to sort of secure the tile for future city production. I'm going to need to get more cities going. Build the city north of the lake you described. You'll only be missing a single river square. Yeah, and I would be using that is an option. The problem is that my 2 cities here would be overlapping by a whopping 4 tiles, and that's going to get more than a little obnoxious by the end of the game. Due to the way that city improvements work, you're better off with a smaller number of larger cities than a lot of medium-sized ones. Can be a lot more effective, a lot more efficient. So I try to build my cities in such a way that they overlap minimally. I would actually, I would rather build the next city further away and then build an additional city that can make the most of the tiles that I did not reach with either of those first 2. That's at least what I would hope for. North. Yeah, this is exactly where I'm going to be building the city. Yeah, that's the spot. That was exactly what I was planning on. That's the space right there. If he heads north again, then I'm going to have him head southwest and then fortify there, sort of hold that spot. That's where I'm planning on building the city. That's actually what I've done here too. That's where I want to build the city over. So I'm essentially earmarking these spots for future use. Hopefully I'll actually get to use them. I'll have to wait, and he did indeed do that. So yep. There we go. And he will be fortifying. Actually, I can tell him to start fortifying now, although he won't actually be able to get that going until. Got some looking through of turns to do. Ooh! Okay. So what we see here, this brown that just appeared under there, is a farm in progress. That tells me that this tile is already in the radius of a city, probably Ethiopian, probably right around in here somewhere. And if I'm going to want to have that elephant for myself, then I'm going to need to have a military unit sit on it to oust his worker, allowing me to be able to put one of my own workers on at the following turn. I'm probably going to have to keep a unit outside my city specifically on that tile so that I'm the one who can use it rather than my opponent. As for how that farm itself started to come, this is actually something that's very different from the other Civ games, and I really, really like the way that it's handled here. A lot of other games you use settler units as engineers, in a sense. Not only can they build new cities, they can also build roads, they can build farms and mines or whatnot. Yes, I would definitely let them finish the farm first. I have no intentions of pillaging that farm to destroy it. No, they can go ahead and they can go ahead and build the farm. But once I have that tile within one of my own city radii, yeah, I'm going to want to use it myself. I will I will requisition their farm. The way that this game handles tile improvements is through public works. What I can do from here is set a public works percentage. As I click this on, you can see that my for building amount goes down. This percentage of production is being taken away from all of my cities. Of course, I only have the one right now, and being converted to public works points, and I can stockpile them from turn to turn. They will actually appear down here. When I have enough public works points to build a tile improvement, click this hammer over here. There are the various land improvement options I have available to me. I can hover over them. They'll show the costs. I can right-click on them. They'll show me some information. Farms will add extra food to a tile. Mines will add extra production and gold to the tile. And roads reduce the movement cost of the tile. This requires the tool-making tech, this requires the mining tech, this requires the agriculture tech, and everybody starts with all three of those. Makes you wonder why they even bothered making them techs in the game, but there you have it. You may notice that there are also sea and space improvements. Yeah, they'll be a little further on in the game. In this Terra tab here, certain technologies give you the ability to terraform tiles. To start with, all I can do is change a grassland into a plains, or vice versa. As my technology becomes more advanced, I gain the ability to change more terrain types. I can start cutting down forests, essentially, or planting them. I can eventually level hills and even mountains. That requires fusion tech. That's quite a ways into the game. I do have some sort of show and tellish things that I could show off. I've got, you know, posters, tech trees, that kind of thing kicking around. But I will wait on that. I will start that. Probably, maybe at some point after the break, I can start doing that. I have a little bit of story time I can say about, like, the origin of this game in and of itself. But, Courtier! Good to see you. Glad you could make it. Quite alright. Yeah, the short version so far is... we have a double alligator city spot to the east and a double elephant city spot to the west. So we could very much be in the money if we can get things settled quickly. Yeah, I'm gonna have the granary built soon. As a matter of fact, I could rush by it, but I'm going to wait on that. Let me... Yeah, I got it. I can just end turn now. Okay. Got nothing else to do for the moment. Kind of plowing through. Okay, so that farm is all set. We just leave that on. What did I see? Then. Oh, okay. So he has a phalanx unit already. Phalanx unit has double the defense that a warrior has, but it's otherwise pretty much the same sort of unit. Okay, so I've gotten my first technological advance. I have domestication, which allows me to build marketplaces in my cities, and I can now train mounted archer units, which have a ranged strength stat and a decent chunk of movement points as well. Okay, combat in most Civ games is unit vice unit. Or unit versus unit. Yeah, same difference. In Call to Power, battles are stack against stack. Up to 9 units can be sitting in the same map tile. And if a battle occurs, it's one tile's worth against the other tile's worth. One battle against the other. When you get involved in a battle, units can actually be in multiple ranks. Your best ranged units can be in the back rank, and they get to take an initial volley before melee units get involved in their battles. So having a combined force is useful. You usually want to have good attackers, good defenders, and some ranged units behind those defensive units. I've got the pig technology, now I just need the bomb technology and I'm all set. There is a bomb technology. Yeah, explosives are out there somewhere. The advances. Yeah, explosives is a there it is. The bomb tech, yes. Artillery and machine gunner come with explosives, and they tend to be... They're decidedly more powerful than the units that you have before you get this tech. So that is something of a linchpin. Okay. So this is where I would start sort of planning out where my government is going to go, where my technological focus is going to be heading. Unfortunately, what I need right now at this moment in time, the ability to take and hold some new cities. As much as I would love to do something a bit more infrastructural in nature, kind of not an option for me right now. I am going to need to defend these cities that are going to be right at the border of other civilizations. And as a result, I'm going to actually take stone working first. For more than anything else, city walls. Most Civ games, the city wall is a percentage boost to the defensive units in the city. And that makes almost no sense whatsoever from a mathematical, historical standpoint. This game does it right. This game, the city wall is a set +4 defense to units that are inside. The problem is that that number is actually a bit large for the the actual strength of the early game units. They really should have made it just like +2, I think. But suffice it to say that later on, the boost that the city wall provides really doesn't add up to much comparatively. So, from a design standpoint, they had the right idea. They just chose the wrong number to give it. The city wall is extremely valuable. That will protect a city from incursion for quite some time, actually. It should, as long as I have moderate number of defenders in the city, they should be able to hold it quite well if I can get a city wall built. This also gives access to the Sphinx Wonder of the World, which I almost never build unless I'm just swimming in production for whatever reason. You do have to pay upkeep to maintain your units. In a lot of games of this nature, you pay them gold, you pay them a salary. Here, you actually don't. They cost you production to maintain. Yes, working is what I want. Matter of fact, if I go here, click this button, you can actually see exactly where it's all going. I'm getting 60 production from my city. I'm getting a workday bonus of 15. I would actually only be getting the 60 if it was right in the middle. By getting it up to here, 10 hours, it's a 20% increase. Because that's how math works, so there you are. More efficient governments would have a natural bonus. You would see that here. Security, no such thing, so that's just 0. And things like happiness and, yeah, you can see that I'm actually, due to the slightly reduced happiness, I'm actually getting slightly more crime than I otherwise would. I'm losing 2 extra production to that. And this 12 is what I'm paying to maintain my warriors. And, it is actually possible to siphon off production from other civs. You will probably be seeing that at some point, although that'll be later on. And then, of course, that's how much I'm investing. That is what is left. What does Zotmeister mean? I can honestly say, if it ever meant anything, I don't remember. That, I am afraid, has been lost to antiquity. From a purely linguistic standpoint, Meister is a German form of saying master or maestro along those lines. And Zot is, well, I've heard it referred to different things. I know that in my case, it's not the strike of an anteater. As much as I love the game Anteater, it is actually referring to the sound of a lightning bolt. But you probably knew that already. The old game Dungeon Hack might have had something to do with that. Maybe just a little. Actually, I used the term Zot more than anything else playing, what was that game? Plays like Othello. It was a Dungeons & Dragons licensed title. Mage Stones, that's what it was. Whenever somebody got the 1, 2, 3 roll on the dice and lost their turn, we always called that a Zot. I can't really say much more about it. Suffice it to say that I have been using that as my handle since 94? 94, 95? Somewhere around there. So over 20 years. That has been my handle for over 20 years. It has been a long time. Okay, I can turn on other options here as well, if you want to see. If you loves the numbers, there they are. Gotta loves the numbers. I can actually leave those open. If I revisit the Civ screen, they'll stay open. I do find them a little distracting sometimes. They only turn them on if I need. Even if the actual origin is remembered, it might be irrelevant to anyone else. That's actually kind of true. Okay, yeah, you're exploring around. I'm afraid you're gonna probably stick another city out in here. I'm actually sort of okay with that. This is what really concerns me right now. If I get a city here and a city here, then I'm probably going to be set for, like, the first third of the game, at least. Oh, no, this... No need to apologize. I mean, that's literally... I couldn't tell you anything more. It's like, I honestly don't recall. If there are any other further subtleties involved in that, it's just... Couldn't say. Okay, that granary's gonna come in a turn, and then they're going to grow unit of population, and it is right after they grow a unit of population that I would ideally want to have another settler added, and actually get another city going. Yeah, Mounted Archer has been added to what I can build, as has Marketplace, which gives me a gold boost in the city. Very sizable one, very useful thing to happen. Definitely want to build that sooner rather than later as well. And it also allows for an additional type of specialist to be produced. I could take somebody off the land entirely, have them give me 10 gold a turn. Which in and of itself would also be boosted by the marketplace, so that's at least 15 that they'll be getting. Alright, so the fun stuff is going to be happening very soon. This rate of production, this rate of research will not do. I will have to get that upgraded soon, but I'm in a good position to do exactly. Oh man. You know what, I might be able to build that settler fast, but if I don't have a unit to go with it, I'm in trouble. Let me actually add a mounted archer in between those two. And then I can have a warrior with a mounted archer behind it. And that will be 2 units defending a city. And then once I get a city wall in there, that'll probably do for a while. Okay, so, and I will probably be using that gold that I am sitting on to, to get those things cranked out sooner. I will definitely turn a profit as soon as I can get that going. Alright. What time is it? Okay. I am not happy with how much you are traipsing through my land, sir. We might have to have a few issues about that. Oh yeah, one thing I would point out, you may notice these shields that appear by the units. Mine are in blue, theirs are in pink. You may notice that the green bar on top of theirs isn't as long as mine is. If I hit this unit button here, which I haven't hit yet, this is all the units that I have, you know, their stats, how much I'm paying for support for them per turn, how many more I have in production at the time is listed here as well. Here I also have access to a military readiness slider. It starts by default maxed out to at war. I could choose to lower that if I wanted, and raise it back up again. If I were to lower it to on alert or stand down, this bar would immediately empty out again and be black. If I lowered it to on alert, it would be half full. I think it would be yellow or red up to there. If I were then to raise it back up again, it would not immediately refill with color. That will take a few turns. It will add. Every turn, it will fill up a little bit more. What you are seeing here is percentage-wise the number of hit points that my units have. By lowering my military readiness, I'm lowering my military support cost. It'll be less of my production that's getting siphoned into keeping my units in shape. However, it means that if they actually get themselves into a battle, they will have fewer hit points. At stand down, they only have half. At on alert, they have 3/4. If they actually end up getting into a battle, well, If I didn't get my readiness up in time, then they're at a disadvantage already. I almost never touch this. It is extremely rare, actually, that I bother messing with that at all. Given how uppity I and the AI seems to be at the moment, definitely tight quarters here. I'm not touching that anytime soon, if at all. Kyoto now has a granary, and a mounted archer will be coming next turn as well. What am I saying? They'll start working on it on a mounted archer. What is coming next turn is another unit top. I'll be able to work a third tile there in that mounted archer that much sooner. And at that point, I'm going to want to get that mounted archer and that settler out as quickly as possible. Okay. I'm gonna settle that. Right now, nothing going stone working. I didn't, yeah, I don't like how he's just... The AI has absolutely no respect for borders in this game, by the way. None. It's production that I want to maximize again, so I have a third forest river tile here I can work, and shall work. Okay, this button here has turned yellow. That is a warning to me. It's also showing here as well. With the population having grown up to 3 now, I am now suffering a greater happiness penalty. Here's how it's actually panning out. Notably, the larger a city is, you just start getting negative happiness from each unit that adds on, just from overcrowding, from city size. There will be ways of dealing with that later on. Various buildings, even some wonders, will relieve that for me. Right now, that's being negated essentially by martial law. Being in a tyranny, I can actually negate some negative happiness by having military units. You can consider that however you'd like. But yeah, they are essentially canceling each other out right now. But the fact that my ration setting is low is now officially too much. So I am going to have to crank that back up again now. It's going to have to be that way. And now that has turned black again. That city is not threatening to riot. They always give you that sort of one-turn warning, so you need to watch for that. Okay. That mounted archer will be done in 3 turns. I'm probably going to let that finish normally, but I'm going to want to then rush by that settler as soon as I get the opportunity. As a matter of fact, having the city grow again before I get that settler is going to be of no value. So I'm going to mess with these sliders. I'm going to take advantage of this. I am going to increase the rations to make people happier, and thereby allow me to increase the workday. Essentially, these defaults that they give you are really sort of a suggestion. They're an average, and they're usually what work well for that particular government, but based on your situation from moment to moment, you can always balance these out. You can add to one if you take away from another. So I can get away with increasing the workday if I also increase the rations. 1 notch each. I can hit the city button again to make sure that that updates. Actually, because I've only got the 1 city and it's selected, it will update that automatically. I can hit that button again, update the entire list. Little inefficiency that they never tidied up, unfortunately. And yeah, the happiness is still 75. City. That is okay. Good stuff. Yeah, I do not care about the fact that it's going to grow very slowly right now, because I'm actually going to be reducing its size back down to 2 when I get that settler finished. So there's actually no real advantage to it. As a matter of fact, I can even increase rations again so that I could lower wages. And that, yeah, that had an immediate effect on my tech. Get stoneworking that much faster. I can get a little more gold, paying less to others, so I can get more sign. Nice and off balance here. There we go. Much, much more efficient. It's those tiny little things, being willing to to work with no cards. So don't worry about it. There will not be a quiz on this. There will not be a quiz on this. Unless people actually want a quiz on it. I could always hand out more bennies. Sooner or later, I will provide something to do with those. At any rate. Ooh, that is good. Very good. Okay, right, so we're gonna have to click through a few more turns. Okay, he's actually got quite a few units there. We've been over this, Jezendar. Yeah, Benny is just a generic term for a good thing, an attaboy. I did have that mystery night where I awarded bennies for those who solved the mystery. I have kept track of that score here. Yeah, sooner or later, I'm probably going to have something akin to like a giveaway or a special request night or something, and I will allow people to spend whatever bennies they might have earned to get an advantage in that. It's just one of those cute little things. I like numbers. I don't mind having extras to keep track of, that sort of thing. It's just that the idea of a channel currency, that just naturally accrues when someone's just sitting in there doing nothing, I don't think that doesn't impress me. That doesn't interest me. It's like, no, if I have like a trivia question or something, or a special challenge to meet, if I've got something fun to do, people interact with, it's like, yeah, I'll reward you for that, sure. Benzedrine. Yeah, well, no penalty for lurking either. I'm perfectly fine with people lurking. I think that's great. I do not feel that people should be pressured. If they don't want to participate, that's fine. If they don't want to, chime in and say whatever, I'm fine with that. I'm perfectly fine with that. I do lots of lurking myself, but as a Benjamin. Yeah, it's just that I just think that the person who has like 7 streams open just to accumulate currency in each of them and isn't actually watching any of them, I don't see the point. I don't see the point. So it's just like I will give out something that at least looks like a channel currency in a sense when I have something that's worth giving it out for. That's all there is to that. It's really no big deal. And they're not really going to be it's probably going to be something along the lines of, if I had some kind of like a raffle-like giveaway, anybody who's present gets 2 tickets for free, and anybody who has bennies can spend like 500 per 1 additional ticket, It just things like that. It's probably just all it's going to end up being. It wouldn't surprise me if that term has a few other additional meanings. I'm sort of particularly referencing the use of the word Benny in the source book for the role-playing game Paranoia. where bennies are sort of good karma points in a sense, as opposed to slaps, which are, bad karma points, bad things. Yeah. Back in my day, we didn't have bennies, just slaps. Slaps, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It was glorious. Benny and the Jets, oh no. Would you like to play this piano with me? But the cockroaches are out of business. I better not get that started. Courtier and I will be doing that all night. Yep. Have that mounted archer done in just a couple of turns. I don't really want, but I beg you. Okay, that's just telling me the unit is ready. Alright, for the time being, I'm going to tell you to fortify, but you'll be traveling with the settler once the settler is ready to go. Can't afford it just yet. The cost to rush by something is roughly exponential compared to how much production remains to be built in it. So that's going to have to wait a short while. I'm going to want to check on that each turn, actually. Do that as soon as I can. Oh, another player has entered the mix, huh? The Incans. Okay. They're kind enough to tell you the relative strength of the other civs compared to your own. Mind you, that's sort of a mixture of everything. Technological advancements, army strength, all that kind of deal. It's possible for someone to appear as much stronger than you and for you to still be able to steamroll them. It's just based on the situation. Mind you, it's a good litmus test. It's a good thing to keep in mind. If the enemies start appearing as strong, you need to really get your butt in gear. I could actually start trying to communicate with them, but there's only so much that I could possibly do. If I were to get embassies formed in some other cities, that would open up some more options. I could start doing tech trades, for example. But that, in and of itself, requires a tech I don't have yet. Yeah. That would indeed be the result, I'm sure. Yes, Courtier and I would go off on a tirade that is pretty much guaranteed to make Jezendar perform some random subset of chuckling, cheering, and or cringing. Okay, so... nope, can't afford it yet, but it's gotten a lot cheaper, hasn't it? You doing? Neighborly greetings from the ink. Can I afford you yet? No. But we're getting closer. There we go. Thought I hit the button. Apparently not. Running a little sluggish, but still reasonable. It's not a real-time game, so I'm not too concerned. Chukachira cringes. Okay, we've got yet another player present here. Not close enough for me to actually officially make contact, but my warrior's key eyes can see him on the horizon. I can actually check the old rankings screen. Alright, so he's Canadian. He is a Canadian phalanx. Push the button. I love you, Tom Servo. I love you, Joel. I love you, Crow. You're not my real father. What do you think, sirs? It stinks. Best ending to a TV show ever. Well, I can rush by them now, but it's only going to save me a single turn, so forget it. I'll just build them naturally. At this point. Yep. Okay. So this hammer icon tells me that I've finished building the thing and that there's nothing left in the queue. That's what the hammer warns me about. So I will want to make sure they are building. Okay. Get those two up to where I want to build the city. Red Shield. This is a barbarian unit. In this game, barbarian units can spawn on any map tile that is not covered by a city radius. I do believe it actually has to be a land tile. I don't think there are any sea-based barbarians. Barbarians can pop up pretty much anytime, anywhere, and they're almost never even remotely an issue. They're usually far weaker units than whatever you've got. Of course, this early on in the game, all warriors for everybody, but it still should not be a big deal. The only real nuisance that they serve is that once you start getting tile improvements out, they can wander in and start pillaging them. You don't even if there's no chance of them taking a city, they can still really cost you a lot just by skirting around the city and breaking all the things that you've built around. I actually want this city to give me another mounted archer, and then another settler. But I don't want that other settler to finish until the city has grown back up to size 3 again. And that's probably going to be too quick. You know what? I'm going to add another mounted archer. And the extra one can simply stay there in Kyoto to help defend it. I kind of want to add the marketplace on after it, but I'm going to wait on that. I'll probably have the city wall available, and I would probably want to build that first. Okay, that should do. Like it'll be time for me to go on my break relatively soon, but I will at least get my city open here. They might actually end up sticking me with a zone of control. We'll wait and see what happens there. Nope, they're letting me by. Okay, he's actually heading for my capital there. I have a unit fortified inside there. He's defending my city. The chances of my losing a battle to that guy are pretty much full. All the same, I could be just that unlucky. Oh, yeah, he didn't even bother. Figured as much. Okay, I think I need to wait a turn before I can actually build that city? Yes, I do. Okay. You, however, can fortify that right now. Wait. Oh, that's right. I could always shift these back. No, that's okay. I actually do want that extra mounted archer. I can always shift these to get the population to after the 2 units to defend a city is probably a good idea, especially if one of them is a mounted archer. Have that ranged attack to get things started with. Greatly improves survivability. Ooh, the old stack of 3. Oh, uh-oh. Ooh. Well, he did pretty well for himself, considering. He killed 1 warrior and almost killed that, phalanx. Alright. Darn. So, so much for my earmark over there. I could have gone that direction first, and now I think I'm actually glad I came this way instead. But I haven't forgotten about that. I'm gonna be careful with that. Alright, so here's Osaka. 2 units should be flying together in there. Now when I hit this button, a second city appears. Osaka is here. And they already have a warrior and mounted archer to defend the place. So I am going to be a... I actually have some pre-saved queues here. Copied them over from another computer. But to get these early cities started,
Construction started.
the granary. This, okay, they are currently working. Well, yeah, I want it there. I want it on the hill. Because I would love to have that extra. It's not as important working the elephant until I can actually work both. So, put them there. And that should get that city... Yeah, a lot better. And of course, we can get that come a lot sooner. Alright, so let me, form my first game. Oh, excellent! It is able to read my, my old saves from, the previous game that I was playing. Let me call this one. Here we go. Ugh. Right, yeah. And the fact that, I mean, this is swamp and jungle and whatnot. This is not terribly valuable tiles. It's just that, you know, the double good makes that quite useful. This is by far the more generally useful, valuable city. So I'm happy to get that one prioritized. Next order of business here, actually, come to think of it. I'll have them... They're building a granary right now. They're gonna have that finished slower than the city's gonna gain a pop anyway. Maybe what I should... Yeah, there's actually no real rush on it. But I definitely want to have Osaka create another warrior, and probably a mounted archer to go with it, to sit on that elephant. So that I can start working that tile myself. When I can work both elephants, then that's like getting extra gold out of thin air. That's going to be good stuff. And elephants are found on plains, so if I wanted to do more exploration, I should look in this direction, and especially down here, given that this is all plains. That's where I would be likely to find more elephants. And then if I can get a trade route going, then I can really start getting a lot. But for now, I am going to take my typical break. I am actually just going to